Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This video is going to be about my move to Vegas. Everything that I went through, what I learned, and then some tips to kind of make it a smooth transition if you plan on moving to Vegas or really any city, kind of what to do to prepare yourself for that. Because I did it kind of the wrong way, but through all of the things that I learned, moving here and the mistakes I made, I'm pretty confident now in myself that I could go to any city in the US and make it work. So I wish you the best of luck if you're planning on moving, and I hope that some of these tips will help you. I want to start by showing you a little picture of what I looked like when I very first moved to Vegas versus now. When I first moved to Vegas, it was almost 8 years ago, and I was a 22-year-old kid who thought I knew everything there was to know about the world. And yes, Mom, I am admitting that I thought I knew, but I didn't know. So let's get right into it. I was 22 when I moved out here. I had just ended a couple years prior a really bad relationship, and the drama from that relationship kept just following me everywhere I went in my hometown of Cheyenne, Wyoming. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. Like, I'm not growing here any further. I got my associate's degree, and I was like, you know what? This is the best opportunity that I could go get my bachelor's degree somewhere else and kind of experience the world. So I started looking into cities, and I had known a few mutual friends that had moved to Vegas from Wyoming. Not anybody I was close with, but I was like, you know, if they could do it, I could easily do it. So I just kind of on a whim decided. I told my parents I was moving in the middle of June. If you want to help me, great. If not, I'll figure it out. And they thought I was crazy, but I was like, no, for real, I'm going. So what we did was Father's Day weekend in June, I packed up a U-Haul. My parents drove behind me, and my best friend Cassie came with me, and we just drove out to Vegas. And I'll be honest, I thought that it was going to be so easy. But I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have a house lined up. I didn't have a plan. I hadn't even applied for school, and I just figured I'll figure it out when I get there. Terrible idea, terrible idea. So the first tip is you need to have a plan first. Like I said, I had no plan. I was completely and utterly winging it, and I don't recommend that. But you need to have a plan. Like, I recommend flying into Vegas or the new city that you're going to and get acquainted. Like, go explore the city, go apply for jobs, get a plan for a home, like go look at apartments or houses or whatever, and get all of that lined up before you decide to actually move, because it will make it a much more seamless transition. The next tip I want to say is MOOLA, money. How much money should you have? Well, I came to Vegas with $1,200 in my bank account. That was it. Had no idea how much I'd need. Had no idea how long it would last me. Had no idea how I was going to start making money because, like I said, I did not have a plan. However, I got very lucky and went to a job interview the first or second day I got here. And I think out of pity, they hired me. I was late for the interview because I got lost. I had no idea where I was going. And I don't know, they decided to still interview me, and I think they felt bad for me, so they hired me. But my advice is I would have at least 3 months of your bills saved up, because you don't know how long it's going to take. And I feel like 3 months is a good amount of time that if you're really hitting the pavement and applying and getting your name out there, you will probably find a job in that amount of time. I had never looked for a house in a new place. I had my own place, several places in Wyoming before I came to Vegas. And the process was very simple. It was very different in Vegas. They wanted 3 months of pay stubs. They wanted credit history, bank history, all kinds of stuff that I could have never imagined they would want. So it was very hard for me because I didn't have 3 months pay stubs. I just came to town. So I was fortunate enough to have very, very good credit. So they kind of waived some of the requirements. And, well, one place waived some of the requirements, and I took it right away because I didn't know if anybody else would. So the first house I ended up getting was on the east side of Vegas, which, if you ask anybody who lives here, is not a very great side of town, especially not for a little girl from Wyoming that looks like she's 12. moving to Vegas on her own. Just a little tidbit, my first house, or my first apartment, it was on the back side of the apartment complex. So there was a fence right behind me, and on the other side of the fence was a 24-hour bar. So just about 3 nights a week, I was woken up at like 3 in the morning with bar fights in my backyard and fun stuff like that. Also at this first apartment, the people below me was a married couple that fought all the time. There was several occasions where I honestly didn't know if the woman would be living the next day because it was so bad. So needless to say, the first apartment, the first year in Vegas was kind of a struggle with my living situation, but I got out of that really quick. But another thing I want to talk about is school. If you decide to come to a new city to go to school, there's a lot of things that you need to know. First off, you should probably apply to the school and be accepted before you decide, hey, I'm going to move there, because that's something that I didn't do. I did get accepted to UNLV, but I had tons of issues with my credits transferring, and I basically would have had to start from scratch when I already had an associate's degree. So that's something that I was not interested in doing. However, I found a smaller school called Nevada State College who had only been around for like 10, 15 years. They transferred my credits easily, fit me into a program that would get me out of there as soon as possible. So I got my associate's degree in criminal justice. My bachelor's degree I got in public administration of law enforcement. That was probably 6 years ago, and to this day I still don't have any idea what job that gets me, but I'm not interested in it anyway, so I guess it's okay. Anyways, another thing that I discovered, which is a really good thing to look into, is there is a loophole to get in-state tuition prior to the year requirement. So I don't know at each school what it's called. It's called something different, but I got a letter from my employer stating that I moved here to work for the company. So I got in-state tuition, which was such a blessing, and was able to start school right away when I got out here. So that was a bonus. Look into that if you're moving to a new state and don't have the requirement. Also, another funny little thing is I wanted to leave Wyoming because I didn't want to commute to the university there in Laramie. And I got to Vegas, went to Nevada State, and ended up commuting about 42 to 45 minutes to my classes across town. Kind of ironic that I didn't want to commute, right? Okay. A big tip, big topic that needs to be discussed is friendships in a new city, especially Vegas. I had such a hard time finding good friends in Vegas that I could trust and feel safe and secure and loved with. One of the first friends I met here, just met her at a restaurant that I was working at. She was like, let's go out tonight. It'll be fun. Okay, great. Yeah. Went out to a club with her, and I'm little old Jenna from Wyoming, no idea what I'm doing. And she said, hey, I'm gonna run to the restroom really quick. I'll be back in a minute. And a minute turned into like 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes and 30 minutes. And I was like, where is this girl? Did she die on the way to the bathroom? Text her. She said, oh, sorry, I ended up leaving. Have a good night. She left me at the club. Cool. Good friend, right? Good start. Then I did meet some really good friends at that very first and second job that I actually still have to this day. But I had to be very selective because some people in this town, when they come from other towns, some people just have like this idea that they can be whoever they want to be. And that's fine. You can go to a new city for a new start and, be the person that you want to be. However, if it's phony, it will show eventually. And that happened to a lot of people that I was friends with, where they just pretended to be a person that they weren't. And after a while, it was just like a sad story that they weren't who they said they were. And they weren't a person that I would ever want to spend my time with. So that's a good lesson. Like, really be careful of the people that you spend your time with, especially when you're alone in a new place. You really need to have your guard up and be selective, but be open, because a lot of times in a city like Vegas, it's a melting pot and people come from all different walks of life. And it might be a little bit different than the life that you grew up in, but that's not to say that they're not good people and they can't be great friends. Okay, so the first year that I came to Vegas, I met a lot of friends. I was dating somebody, but I had never spent so much alone time by myself. And I'm telling you, probably 3 to 5 nights a week the first year I was here, I cried myself to sleep thinking, why did I come here? How am I going to make this work? What was I thinking? And to be honest, it was a very, very hard transition without my family close by, my good friends that I had had for my entire life. It was really, really hard and lonely and trying time mentally for me. I was young. I didn't really know a lot about myself, but it gave me the opportunity to learn and grow and come into who I was as a woman. That's what I'm telling you. The first year, I wanted to go home so badly, but my ego and my pride would never allow it. So I stuck it out, and I'm so glad that I did. Anytime you decide to uproot and start over, please give it a year. Give it a year of solid effort, not a year of like whining and just barely surviving. Give it a year of solid effort before you throw in the towel, because that first year was hard. But I am so glad I made it. So don't give up. If you have more questions that I didn't address about moving to a new city or to Vegas in general, just comment below or message me and I will get back to you. If I need to do a further follow-up video, I will. And I thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon.